In this lesson, we are going to cover a SOLIDWORKS feature that a lot of people really enjoy working with. This is one of those features that you can create some very interesting and unique shapes. And this feature is called Lofted Boss Base. Now it does have some similarities to the Swept Boss Base. However, the Swept Boss Base, you are limited to one sketch profile. Where the Lofted Boss Base, you can have two or more different sketch profiles. So let's begin. As a minimum, we must have two sketches existing before this command becomes available. So I'm going to go to the Sketch tab, select the sketch icon, and I'm going to create a new sketch on the top plane. On this sketch, I'm going to create a center point rectangle. I'll pull it out and then close out of the sketch. Next, we are going to create a new sketch plane parallel to the top plane for our second sketch. In order to do that, we must use a command that we have yet to cover. We'll cover this command in greater detail in a later lesson. That command is found under Reference Geometry, and it's called Reference Plane. What I'm going to do is create a plane parallel to the top plane and 100 millimeters above it. So for the first reference, I'll expand the Feature Manager tree and select the top plane. I will then key in a value of 100, and looking at the screen, I want to make sure it's above the top plane, which it is. So I'm going to close out of the Plane Property Manager. Now I'm ready to begin sketching my second sketch. I'll go to the Sketch tab, select the sketch icon. This plane is my current sketch plane. Now I'm going to create a circle on this plane. I'll stretch it out and then close out of this sketch. Now I have two sketches existing and I'm ready to start my Lofted Boss Base. But before I do that, I am going to hide this plane just so it's not distracting us, and then go to the Features tab and select Lofted Boss Base. In the first window, I am prompted to select the two sketch profiles. Keep in mind this can be more than two sketch profiles, and the sketch profiles can have different shapes. So I'm going to go out to the screen, select the first profile, and then the second one. And notice the preview for the Lofted feature. As you can see in the Property Manager, we have many different settings. Start, End constraints, guide curves, centerline parameters, sketch tools, options, and thin feature. Many of these are outside of the basic SOLIDWORKS Foundation course. Those would be options covered in an intermediate to advanced level course. But I do want to cover a few of them. The first one would be Start, End constraints. Notice they're both set to none. And my options are none, direction vector, and normal to profile. I'm going to set the start constraint to normal to profile and do the same for end constraint. And notice the preview on the screen. What happened here is as this feature is being lofted to my sketch, it's normal to the profile as it joins the sketch. And the same is true up here. Back in the Property Manager, notice I have a window for start tangent length and another one for end tangent length. If I change this value from 1 to 5, notice the resulting geometry. You can get some very odd and complex shapes. So the possibilities are endless with this feature. I am going to reset this to 1. You may have also noticed the green dots. These are called control points. Now before I move the control point, notice how this feature is being lofted. And if I close out of the loft feature, notice it looks like it's a symmetrical loft. I'm going to go back and edit the loft feature. I'm going to grab this control point and move it along that top sketch. And notice how we put a twist into the lofted feature. I'm going to return it to the original position. Now, if you want to add more control points, you simply right mouse click on the sketch and add connector. And there we have another connector, which allows us more control over how the loft is created. I'm going to delete the connector and then close out of the loft feature. Now, one last thing I want to do, I want to create a third sketch. So I am going to go back to reference geometry, create another reference plane, and this time we're going to create this reference plane 200 millimeters above the top plane. On this plane too, I'll create a third sketch, and in this sketch, let's create an ellipse. And there we go. I'll close out of the sketch. Once again, I'll hide the plane. And over my feature manager tree, I am going to move the loft below the sketch. I'll edit the loft feature. And inside of the profile windows, I'll select the third sketch. I'll close out of the loft property manager. And there's our lofted feature.